My research question for this project is there a gender pay gap in healthcare? Either between doctors and doctors, nurses and nurses, or really anyone else who's in healthcare between men and women. The rationale for choosing gender pay gap in healthcare is that I want to work in healthcare after college as a nurse. I want to be paid the same amount as my colleague who is doing the same thing as me, even if they are a man. It's not fair that women are being paid less for doing the same type of job and getting the same education as their colleague who happens to be a man. Like I said before, my professional goal is to become a nurse. If I'm going to be going through the same amount of school and getting the same education as a man, then we should be paid the same. There should be equality at the workplace. Whether it's pay or anything like that, there should be equality between men and women, no matter what. There's been a pay gap for many years. It has been decreasing for the past 100 years. There's been instances where women are being paid almost $1,000 less a week than a man. That's a lot of money. It's times that by $52,000 less a year in some instances. It's crazy to think about. Nursing is the largest healthcare profession that is mostly female. There shouldn't be a pay gap. There's also a pay gap in teaching, which is also predominantly a female career. There really shouldn't be a pay gap in these careers because they're mostly female who work them. And women really like to be nurses because of the flexible schedule, and men like the 40-hour-a-week job that are 5 days a week. Hospital nurses pay gap is $3,783 a year. Outpatient nurse pay gap is $7,678 a year. And there shouldn't be a pay gap because they're doing the same job. They got the same education. There only should be a pay gap if there's a man doing a higher job than a woman. There are ways to narrow the gap. One way is for employers to be aware that there is a gap between male and female employees. And women can negotiate pay like anyone else. They should know that there is a difference between a man and a woman getting paid, but there really shouldn't be. There are uncontrolled and controlled gender pay gaps, and under uncontrolled gender pay gaps is when there's a pay gap between a man and a woman who have different jobs. A controlled gender pay gap is when there is a pay gap between a man and a woman who are doing the same exact job, same education, same job, which means that there really shouldn't be a pay gap because they're doing the same exact thing. In conclusion, there is a gender pay gap. Men are being paid more than women for doing the same job. It is unfair because they are doing the same exact thing. In the case of healthcare, they had to go through the same amount of schooling. It would be different if the man had a higher position than the woman. In order to change this, the employer must be aware of the gap, and women can negotiate their pay. And then here's the works cited page for this project. Thank you.